Hey Eddie,
What's up, Shaner?
what do you get when you mix a 500-pound bear and $22 million worth of cocaine in 1985?
Hmm. Chris Farley?
No, cocaine bear, silly.
Should have known.
You should have.
Why didn't I think of that? Ah, darn. Well, it's a good thing Universal Studios did because they came out with a great movie a week
Fantastic.
ago. Great movie. And we're going to review it. Man, that was a good transition. I'm proud of that one.
That was pretty good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Small Beard's Big Opinions, where we're giving you a little special review of the latest movie, Cocaine Bear. Shannon, why did we decide to do an episode on this exclusively?
I think we've been talking about this movie for at least 2 years now, ever since it was announced it was coming out.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you brought it to my attention, and I said, that seems like a movie we have to see. It's called Cocaine Bear. It's about a bear that does cocaine and then kills people.
Yeah.
Like
It
that sounds like a B movie premise if I've ever heard one. If there's anything we love, it's a B movie. Then we found
exactly.
out for a minute we were disappointed it was a high budget movie. It was actually going to be produced not in someone's backyard.
Yeah, it would actually have like good effects, good actors.
Yeah. So then it came closer and we got excited about it again. And Eddie asked if we wanted to do a review on it. He went to see it and said it felt like a B movie with special effects, real special effects. And I said, that sounds perfect. Let's do it. And now here we are.
And folks, the movie did not disappoint. Why don't you give us the synopsis?
All right. So I think first we have to acknowledge for anyone that doesn't know, because it's a bit confusing, the plot in the movie is completely different than what happened in real life.
Yes.
Let's get that out of the way. This movie is absurd and not realistic in terms of what actually happened. In reality, a bear did cocaine and overdosed in like a day or two.
Yeah.
In the movie, however, a shipment of cocaine, again, about $22 million worth, adjusted for inflation, that's like, I think $55.6 million now, is what I read. Uh, it's on a plane. Plane starts going down. They dump the cocaine all throughout a national forest in Georgia. Several different things stumble upon it, one of them being a 500-pound bear.
Yep.
This movie takes place in 1985. It's got a good amount of characters, all of which their stories kind of interweave around this cocaine and around this bear, and it makes for a hilarious, creative movie.
Great movie. So before
Fantastic.
we talk about anything else, you should go see this. There's a small
Mm-hmm.
caveat to that, which we will get into later. But overall, if you like B movies, you should go watch this. And so this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so that you don't you can listen to this and then go enjoy the movie, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So, but once that bear consumes that cocaine, everything goes out the window. This is a
Yep.
totally different movie. That bear should have overdosed 5 different times. It's crazy.
It should have
But
overdosed, I think, the first cocaine it consumed.
oh yeah, yeah, easily. And it just kind of keeps consuming as the movie goes on. But overall, this movie is pretty cut and dry. I mean, you're kind of getting what is in front of you, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk with the characters for a little bit, which we won't go into all of them because there's a lot of different characters, but we'll cover the main ones. So you have the name Shanner, so I'll let you kind of take over that.
Yes. All right. So your main, see, I don't even know who to call the main characters in this movie.
Yeah.
So let's just go through all of them. There is, I think I'm going to butcher this because I don't think it was said too often in the movie. Sari, Sari, is one of the first few characters you meet. She's a mother of a child named Dee Dee. I
Yeah.
don't think she has an actual name, but she's just Dee Dee.
Yeah.
There is Henry, Dee Dee's best friend, another child.
Mm-hmm.
There is Sid, the crime lord who's responsible for getting this cocaine to what group was he bringing it to? Bolivians or
I don't know if they said exactly,
something
but
like they
he
did
had
mention at least once or twice, but it wasn't enough to stick in my mind.
yeah. His bosses wanted him to get the cocaine that's in Georgia.
Yeah, so after this whole thing happens, he sends his men, if you will, his henchmen, his goons, Eddie and David, my favorite characters
Yeah. Oh, they're the
out to
best in
fetch
this
it from the
movie.
forest.
Yeah.
So those are two more characters. And amongst all of this, you got police detective Bob, who ends up coming down to Georgia from Tennessee, I think is where he
Yeah,
starts.
Nashville, Tennessee.
And he gets interweaved in this. Another great character.
Yes.
And finally, the only other like really prolific character in the movie is Park Ranger Liz, who obviously is already at this national park and gets sucked up into this as well.
Yeah. So a lot of different characters, a lot of moving parts, but overall, it's not. Most of it works. So yes, there's a lot of different characters, but I think all of them were pretty good. Wouldn't you say, Shaner?
I would say yes, none of them felt bland, with the exception of another character we didn't mention because it's not super worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's Detective Bob's partner, whose name
Yes.
was Reba. She was
Yes.
the only character in this movie where she didn't add a lot to the plot
I would agree with
at
that.
all, and she wasn't fleshed out in any way, shape, or form. It's not a spoiler to say the most important thing about her in this movie, that really matters, if you will, even kind of, is she has a dog at one point. She had a
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That's
pretty
one of your
much.
major takeaways from the film. Yeah, she didn't need to be there and wasn't like an interesting character.
I think the biggest, I mean, for me, the biggest struggle of this movie is the fact that it has way too many characters and too many plot points. Like they could have shaved off like a third of the plot points and a few characters, and the movie would have been so much better.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but the main characters that are there are awesome. Like
Yep.
the crime guys Eddie and I'm sorry, what was the other guy?
David.
David. They were my favorite character in the film. They had a great
Yeah.
chemistry throughout the entire thing. The mom and her kids that added a bit more, not so much. I don't say typical gangster, but they had a nicer side, like more heartwarm, like oh, I hope she gets
Yeah.
her kids sort of thing. And so those were the two driving plot points throughout this movie. How did you feel about the cocaine bear itself? It's a black bear, and it's not like
Yeah.
monstrously big. It's like proportionately sized for a black bear.
Yeah, it's a black bear. I mean, at times it was adorable, not gonna lie. When it wasn't trying to murder things and get more cocaine, it
Yeah,
had some scenes where I was like, "Oh, that was pretty cute." It had its moments where it was kind of docile, decent CGI. Yeah, we're not talking like Star Wars level CGI or practical
yeah,
effects on this thing, but it was also not bad. It didn't take me out of the immersion.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, the bear never looked bad. It was let's clarify, it was decent for a AAA production film.
yeah,
Yeah, for nowadays standards. But yeah, it never looked bad, which is the main thing. Let's see. So I guess since we're talking about the bear, there's gore in this. This is an R-rated movie,
it
which is kind of
earns
the
its R rating easily.
yeah, it earns it easily. So that's a caveat. If you don't like gore and if you don't like a lot of swearing, this probably is not the movie for you. I don't like either of those things, but I want to go see this movie because I can kind of handle it. And I think considering all things, the gore could have been a lot worse.
For sure. They are tame in ways you don't expect, and that's I think the best way to describe the gore in this movie. Tame in ways you don't expect, but at the same time, completely in on things you didn't expect. Gore you
Yeah,
didn't expect, but also in areas where you think there's going to be a lot of gore, they keep it tame, which is really weird.
yeah, I appreciate it, but I think it also like it kind of mirrors a B movie almost because like the B movies hide that so that they don't have to show it.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like, I think again, it's not a spoiler to say there are bear attacks in this movie. We're not going to talk about who, but it's a
Yeah.
movie about bear on cocaine. There's going to be bear attacks. Um, some of these effects they did in terms of gore were pretty decent and pretty realistic
Oh
looking.
yeah, definitely.
And I wonder why they held back so much on the bear attacks, you
Yeah,
know? Because I won't spoil, but you already can tell when I say like some gore scenes that didn't need to happen. That budget, if it's a budget concern, that budget could, not that I want to see people getting ripped apart by bears, but if you already have some of these scenes where it is a weird, realistic, unneeded gore scene, put those towards the gore scenes if they have to be there that matter to the movie. Again, it was really interesting that they hid a lot of the bear attacks in terms of gore, and then had a couple scenes where I was like, I that didn't need to be there. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I would say the two, I guess, goriest, debatably gory. No, sorry, three debatably goriest parts were, and I'll try to say this without spoiling it. There's the ambulance scene, which isn't a spoiler. You see that in the
Yeah,
trailers. There's a spot, Chandler, you know what I'm talking about. There's the one moment in that which, yeah, there was the moment in the ranger office.
yeah, for sure.
Again, you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah,
then there's a moment in the woods after the bear killed a person,
with a tree.
involving the tree. I think those three, they made those three stand out because they were trying to do comedic effect with those three.
Hmm.
Like it wasn't like, ew, look at the brains coming. No, I mean not that there were brains coming out, but they kept that and they showed that because for comedic effect. You were supposed to laugh at
Right.
that. Not that I like to laugh at those things, but I can see that that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So
And I'm not gonna lie, the Ranger cabin scene for the shock value did make me laugh just a little. Not because of what happened, but just because of the sheer absurdity of it.
yeah,
This is hard to talk about without spoiling it. Like,
yeah.
I'm not a psychopath. I didn't laugh at what happened, but it worked in terms of shock value.
Oh, that definitely.
But in a way where it was like, what is this movie?
Yeah. There was a
In a funny
purpose for
way.
the gory parts in this film. They were trying
Yeah.
to do. They were being purposeful with the gory parts. That's what
But
we're trying to
again, it
say.
just felt weird to have a movie about a bear attacking people. And honestly, those are the most tame gore scenes of the movie,
Yeah.
are the bear
Honestly,
attacks.
I appreciated it. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
a
just
horror
odd.
person. I don't like watching those sort of things, and so I'm happy that they toned those
Yeah, I don't want
down.
the audience to hear that I'm like, man, it could have used like I wanted to watch that guy getting ripped apart by a
Right.
bear. But just in a movie where that's your focus, your whole you come to see this cocaine bear, the fact that they redirected their budget for gore into scenes that didn't necessarily weren't as quintessential to the plot as a bear attack.
Yes.
Not that again, it could have done without them. It's just an odd choice.
I don't think it was odd. It might have been purposefully because they knew what their audience was. Like, this was a comedy movie. This wasn't a horror
Yeah.
gore film.
Okay. No, you know what? You got me there.
So I think they were being purposeful with that. I
I
don't think it
suppose.
was
Yeah.
mistake.
Actually, now that you say that, now that you talk about like what the movie was and what
Yeah.
its genre was, yeah. Okay. But yeah. So if you are not a fan of, and I would say honestly, for some of it, scarily realistic gore. Like this isn't like Velocipaster
No.
with using ground beef to
Hmm.
simulate people. This looked real.
Is there a movie we could compare like gore level to? I don't watch a lot of
I
these
would
movies,
say,
so I really don't
I
have a
mean, in
good
terms
frame.
of see, all that's coming to mind are B movies, where like you get
Okay.
ketchup and ground beef, and it looks decent.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like when you watch something like The Walking Dead, maybe,
Okay.
and the effects on there aren't bad. But to me, out of like like you said, I'm not big into gross out gore
Hmm.
movies. But of all the stuff I have seen, this to me felt realistic in a
Yes.
weird way for such an absurd B movie style movie. And maybe that was a stylistic choice, to make it so realistic because maybe that adds to the absurdity of it. You've got a bear on cocaine, but also a realistic. Um,
Hmm.
this isn't an example for the movie, like an arm breaking. I don't think any arms were broken in this movie. Everything else. Uh, but it'd be like watching a comedy movie, and all of a sudden they have a scene where a guy like falls down a set of stairs and snaps his arm in half. That's what this felt like.
I think it's a bit more gory than that, but yeah,
No, but what I
I can
mean
see what you're
is
saying. I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
to have such a realistic injury in this movie, a couple of them, in such an otherwise absurd and funny plot was really odd. But I didn't mind, again, I say I didn't mind it. It didn't ruin the movie for me, but yeah, some of it I could have dealt without. It would have been fine.
I agree. I don't think it was odd. I think if they added it to keep it realistic, at least, like
Yeah.
it was so really felt like a bear was attacking. But I can see your point. Yes.
So that's our little sidetrack into the gore. And on the other hand, the language, if you're not
Yeah.
a big language fan, there are quite a few F bombs dropped in this movie.
Yeah.
Not all of them are needed.
No.
Sometimes, language might be effective in like making a point in a
Yeah.
really tense scene in a movie. There were maybe I could say there was only one in this movie where I was like, that made for a good line.
Yeah.
But some of it was just unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, they're drug dealers in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean,
But like the kids didn't need to be,
yeah. Yeah. The kids were
you know.
swearing. It's like, okay. Okay. How did you feel about the comedy?
See, this is where I think Eddie and I differ just a little bit. This was, I would say, one of the funniest, if maybe just funnier movies I've seen recently. Um, I think its main comedic effect is timing.
Yes.
I thought this movie was really good at timing in terms of its jokes and just it was good timing and also I'm trying again, I described when we were talking spoilers before we started recording what to call it. I'm gonna say snappy but also realistic dialogue. These felt like I think real conversations, which is what I like to see in comedy. I love scripts, but I also like scripts where the actors say, deliver their lines in such a way that it feels real and unscripted. Um, so yeah, I like the comedy in this movie. Not all of it worked, but 90% of it, I was laughing in the theater, which I
Yeah.
don't often do. Usually my, like any person, they make jokes about it on the internet now. You just breathe out through your nose.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen it? You make that
Right.
kind of, I don't know if that picked up on the mic, but this was actually making me laugh pretty hard in the theater. I liked it comedy wise.
Yeah. It was definitely good comedy, and the its strongest point was definitely the timing, like you said. I didn't find it as funny. I think at worst the jokes fell flat, but at its best it was good but not amazing. Like there was nothing. There were a couple jokes where I was like I audibly laughed. Like there were a few, but I don't know. There was I don't know. I can't count them, but there was a noticeable amount that I was just kind of like, I didn't find that funny. But overall, I enjoyed the comedy. Like it wasn't
Yep.
stale. It was never stale. It was never like, okay. There were one or two times where I was like, okay, really? Like that wasn't. That was just dumb.
Yeah, there were one or two, maybe three low hanging fruit jokes
Yeah, yeah. That's
where
what
it
I'm
was
talking
like, come on, you're not a movie for
about. Mm-hmm.
10-year-olds. You can do better than that.
Right. So, but other than that, yeah, no. Overall, I enjoyed the comedy. I'm a bit lower on it than you were, but I think that's just my own personal taste. I'm not trying to say
Yeah,
that to.
everyone's got different tastes in comedy,
Yeah,
and that's okay.
that is okay. You like what you like,
Yeah,
unless what you like is like
is wrong. Like
Nazis or
being a
and
nut.
stuff.
That's exactly where I went too. Yeah, like what you like, unless what you like is being a Nazi, in which case, don't.
That's a T-shirt right there. The only other thing we should mention is that there are two extra credit scenes that we know of. I only saw two. You say you saw two, Shaner, but we felt like
Let
there
me
should have been
look
a
it up.
third. Yeah, go ahead and look it up. We saw two, so make sure you stay uh, for the credits for a little bit and
Let's
watch
just,
them.
yeah, we can call them mid-credit scenes because I don't want people thinking they have to stay
Oh yeah, the first
the
one
entire
happens
movie.
like 10 seconds into the credits, and the other one happens like I don't know 20 seconds after that. So
Um, I believe it says just two scenes.
okay,
So you
good.
were right.
We are correctamundo. Other than that, that is our thoughts on Cocaine Bear. Man, that was a really fun watch. I don't usually go out to watch movies at the theater. Holly likes to go watch movies, so I'll go whenever she wants to. But there's very, very rarely is there a movie that I want to go out and see. And Cocaine Bear got me out to see it, and oh boy, I was not disappointed. So
Yeah,
yeah, like I said,
no.
If you like B movies, this is basically a B movie with high production. Go watch it, unless you don't like gore or swearing. Yeah, go
And
see
yeah,
it.
you would think that like, because I can hear somebody, an imaginary audience member, saying, "But wait, the low budget is part of the B movie's charm." And to that I say, I agree with you,
Yeah.
but that does not make this feel like any less of a B movie somehow.
No, there's like small B movie moments. I don't know if
Mhm.
we said this already, but with the gore a little bit,
Yeah,
just like moments like that, you think, huh, that could have been a B movie. The
yeah,
humor was pretty on point, but kind of like what Shane was saying, it's very organic feeling, like natural. And B movies have that too. And
yeah,
just like the whole idea of Cocaine Bear, like
yeah. I mean, it's a B movie plot waiting to happen. They were just given some good budget.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way as you in theaters lately, aside from, your monthly Marvel movie, which I will always go see.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot in the theaters where I've been like, man, I would love to see that movie. I think
Mm-hmm.
before this and Ant-Man, the last movie I saw in theaters was the new Top Gun movie. And that was way back in like,
That was a
I
few
don't even
months
remember.
ago. That was a few
Yeah,
months ago.
so there's been some, every time I pass by our local theater here in town, I see what's playing and nothing seemed good. I looked it up on their website, nothing stood out. But I decided to go see this, and I can't say that it's one where I like you definitely have to see it in theaters, you
Yeah.
know? Like Top Gun Maverick, when I saw that in theaters, I'm like, I don't know if this would be as good on a home TV unless you've got like a super mega setup, like
Mm-hmm.
you paid $3 million to set up your TV. This movie, I feel like would be just as good um on a home TV watch,
Yeah.
but I don't regret seeing it in theaters. It's a ton of fun. Uh like I said, the comedy was one of my favorite parts. I thought it was really good. And I think another thing we didn't really mention that really works for me in this movie is it was just enough star power in terms of actors, but it didn't feel bloated with cameos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm
we
not
can talk. That's
really.
one thing we can
Yeah.
talk about. Like Ray Liotta is your biggest star in this movie. His last role before he just recently passed away. He was a big actor in. I want to say he was in Goodfellas or The Godfather, one of those two. It's probably Goodfellas, which was a popular movie. Uh, so he's in this. Alden. I'm not going to pronounce his last name right. The guy who played young Han Solo in the Solo movie
Mm-hmm. He
is in
plays Eddie.
this. Yeah, the guy who plays David was in a couple episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney Plus, and the only other notable one I can really pinpoint was the park inspector
Mm-hmm.
was really popular on the popular TV show Modern Family, which was really weird to see him in something else because that is the only other thing I've seen him in,
Mm.
and it's a completely different character in that TV show. So it was just enough star power to go, okay, this is, these aren't all no, but which I had nothing against, you know,
You
new and upcoming
missed.
actors in movies.
You
Go ahead.
missed. So the kid Henry, right? That's the little boy
Oh
Henry.
yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah.
He plays. He's been in a lot of like child actors. So there's the Netflix series Sweet Tooth. I know he stars in that.
Oh,
And he's been
whoa.
in
Now that you
something
say
else.
that.
Yeah, he's been in
Huh.
other things too. But
I
yeah, he's
thought I
another.
must have missed that. I cannot believe I missed that because I'm not a big fan of that, but Cassie is. I'll tell her.
Oh, I've just seen it in passing, just because I
Yeah.
recognize his face because it's
The
plastered all
second you
over
said
that.
that, yeah, I can see the posters with him on it.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, him too. But it didn't feel like it was over bloated with celebrities.
no,
Like in necessarily like an Adam Sandler movie or
right.
like a Dwayne Johnson movie. It was just enough where I was like, this is cool to see a couple guys and a couple small actors I know, but I didn't feel distracted by celebrities in this movie.
No,
But yeah, so like we've repeated a couple times, if you're okay with gore and some decent language, I recommend this movie highly.
yeah. Now we're not going to rank this in our B movie list that we have
Yeah,
on
it's not
our
fair.
Bops and B movies episode series, which you should go check out if you like B movies. Because yeah, like Shannon said, it would just be unfair. Like this movie is such a high caliber. Is it
Yeah.
better than Velocipaster and Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter? I don't know. That
Okay.
might be a bit of a stretch.
See, those are two different things. Production wise, for
Yeah.
sure. But in terms of because see, I think Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter holds its place because it has such a that's a lot on the memories associated with it, I think, because that was our first B movie I think we did together was Jesus Christ Vampire
For Two
Hunter.
Dudes of the Radio,
And
yeah, that was our first one.
yeah, and that one just nothing else ever came close to that because it was such an absurd concept and such a so bad it's good. And Velocipaster, while we didn't watch that one together necessarily, that was still just I don't know, it holds its own special place.
They
So I'm
do.
not gonna like production wise, it probably is a better movie,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
but I just have such good memories associated with the other two. I think Velocipaster, I would say, is special because it's my first real B movie that I watched and could recognize, oh wait, this is what a B movie is. And where I started to go, I like B movies, I like to watch these things. And then Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, just because that was our first Two Dudes on the Radio B movie, and it's absurd in the best way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't say it's better in those regards, but yeah, production wise, it's better, I think.
Yeah, like a movie is better. But it'd be unfair to rank, so we're not going to rank it, but we do give it the honorary B movie seal of approval. So yeah.
I give it that, and I give it 2 cocaine covered thumbs up.
Yeah, me too. All right, folks, that's it. Thank you for listening. And if you're new to the show, like I said, we have like series on B movies. We're doing like a review of Star Wars. We're watching all the Star Wars, and our main show, History and Hypotheticals. That's like our most popular show. So if you're new, hi, and thanks for listening. Anything else, Shannon?
Nope, I don't think so. This is a PSA. Don't do cocaine. This show, we shouldn't have to say it, but for legal and tax purposes, this is not an endorsement of cocaine. Don't do cocaine.
Tax purposes?
That's a joke. That's the joke. It has nothing to do
Okay.
with taxes.
Okay, cool.
Just don't do cocaine.
Next episode, 3 people to blanket for, talking about Star Wars, where we review The Force Awakens. Until then.
Oh boy, it gets hot.
Yeah. We recorded that already. We decided to do this review last minute, but I think we going pretty deep on that one.
Oh yeah.
All right. See y'all in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.